Are we supposed to announce ourselves as we join the meeting?
Sure. No.
Mr. Klaus, when your case is called, we'll ask for you to join and identify yourself.
Great. Just want to make sure you know us here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a rules already, huh?
I now call the meeting of the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hillsborough County Code Enforcement Special Magistrate hearing. When addressing the magistrate, please state your name, address, and speak clearly into the microphone. If you're planning to speak during this hearing, you must sign the speakers list located at the front door so your case can be called. Any person who decides to appeal a decision of the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate will need a record of the proceedings. The record is comprised of testimony and evidence upon which an appeal is based. It is your responsibility to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made. By law, you have 30 days from the date of my order to appeal my decision to Circuit Court. Presentations by the county, respondents, and opposition must be kept to a maximum of 10 minutes each. Special Magistrate may recess and reconvene to conclude its business if needed. The basic process for this hearing is as follows. Ms. Meyer will conduct the oath of witness. Your case will be announced. Staff will present their evidence on your case, and then you'll be allowed to rebut that evidence and explain what has occurred. I'll close the hearing and announce a decision. I may ask questions and allow other witness testimony if necessary. Depending on my order, the county staff may later have to conduct an inspection to see if you've complied. If the staff believes you have not complied, you'll receive a notice in the mail. By law, you have 10 days to contest that notice. Otherwise, it will be considered correct and a lien may be filed against your property. For false alarm or water resource cases, if you have not complied by paying the past due burglar false alarm fine or the water resources penalty fine within the time ordered, you'll receive a notice in the mail. By law, you have 10 days to contest that notice. Otherwise, it will be considered correct and a lien may be filed against your property. If you have any questions, these rules are outlined by Hillsborough County Codes of Ordinances and Laws, Chapter 14, Article 2, Section 14. And before we begin, please silence all electronic devices. First order of business, I move and approve the minutes for the CESM meeting for November 8th, 2022. I'm ready for the oath.
All county staff who will be testifying must take the oath of witness. Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. First case is on page 3 of your agenda, item number 4, case number BA 4740A, the owner, W.L. Cook and Martha M. Cook, location 6210 36th Avenue South. We have service and we have Mr. Cook signed in to speak.
I didn't bring Martha because she's developed Alzheimer's.
Can you?
Sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she clears a bell.
No worries, sir.
Understand. Will you raise your right hand? Are you able to raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me God. Thank you.
And state your name and address, please.
My name is W.L. Cook Jr. I reside at 6210 36th Avenue South. That's in the, it says Tampa, but more like Palm River.
Thank you.
Ms. Burney?
Tina Burney, Compliance, Communities, and Conservation. Case BA 4740, data false alarm 6/23/22, amount due $500, no additional outstanding violations.
I didn't quite understand it. You're very low. What do you need to know?
Tell me about your violation, sir.
This is the first time I've heard about it.
Well, welcome.
3 weeks ago, I paid the county $400, and the paperwork said like this kid does all my violations. And then this came in the mail. I said, I vaguely remember it, but I've never heard of it. But my wife has mail disappears. I try to stay abreast of it, but I recently lost a $40 check from University Medical Services, an overpayment. I guess I'm out $40.
Okay. So was this a single violation? There's a reason that we're at 500?
Yes, it's number 7.
7th. Okay.
And why did it take 7 months to get back to me?
I don't have an answer to that, sir, but is there a reason why you keep having the false alarm?
I think it's not completely my fault, because I know I had one time, a cobweb across a sensor.
Mm-hmm.
And we left this spring, last spring, we left at 10 o'clock in the morning to go to a graveside service. Supposedly the alarm, I set the alarm, locked, I got a double deadbolt on my back door. I locked that. We went, and sometime in the afternoon, the alarm went off. There was nobody in the house. I don't have any pets.
Mystery.
That prompted, when I paid the $400, that prompted me, I canceled my alarm system.
Okay. So the $400 that you paid was for another violation?
I don't know what the way it was worded. My daughter paid it through online or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
It seemed like it cleared up all my. We took it for granted that it cleared whatever I had, but then this one came up 6 months later.
Understand.
The was $550 that he paid in December for the 4th, 5th, and 6th violation.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So total outstanding is 500.
Correct.
Asked me why it's $500 for a deputy that was at my house. I know he didn't walk the perimeter. He saw lights in my kitchen laundry room. He came to my back door. Why is it $500 for him to? Did they bring him up from?
It's because it keeps happening, sir. It's an
Well-
escalation from the other ones that have already passed and you've paid.
No, they keep just multiplying it.
Yes. They want them to stop. So their theory
Well-
is if they charge you more money, eventually you're going to get to a point where you don't want.
Well, I
half-
paid 150 before the 400.
Right. It shows the payments in the system. This is a separate violation. And so this one is 500 this time. Sir, you've said that did you get rid of your
I
service?
I called ADT and told them cut it off.
All right. No other violations on this address?
Correct.
Okay. All right, sir. What I'm going to do, that's a lot of money.
It is
It is.
because my colas have not been keeping up with the rising prices. We're
understand.
just above the poverty line. I have 2 pensions. My wife is strictly Social Security, and she's chewed up her 401. We're trying to stay up, and the big thing is medicines.
I understand, sir.
They're expensive.
Well, if you make a promise to me that you'll take care of the cobwebs, I
Well,
will.
the Cowboys aren't going to be able to bother anymore
That's true.
because all that system's shut down.
I'll cut your fine in half. I'll
Thank
make
you.
it $250.
Thank you.
And I'll give you a little extra time to pay it since
I'll
you've been
pay it today.
making a constant
You got the-
donation to the county.
if I
I'm
can
going to
pay it
give you some
here.
extra time.
If not, my daughter will run it through the.
I don't know how that process works. I think you get a
goes
statement in the
straight from the
mail and then
bank
they
to the
give you
county.
ways to pay it. Yeah, I don't think you can pay it today, but that's what I'll do as part of my ruling. So I have a strong feeling that since you don't have the service anymore, I'm not going to see you again. So,
I hope not.
all right, sir. All right. That's what I will do. Thank you for coming and explaining it to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Have a great weekend. I rule in case BA 4740A that based on the evidence presented, the violator has failed to pay the false alarm penalty fine imposed by County Ordinance 04-16. I grant the violator 45 days to pay the fine and impose order if payment is not made by that date, a fine of $20 per day be assessed and reduce the overall fine from $500 to $250. Next case, please.
Okay, turn back to page 1, number 1, case number BA 4437. This case complied December 28, 2022. Number 2, BA 128473. The owner is Tanya M. Gaddy, 7531 Dragonfly Loop. We have service and no one is present.
Case BA 128473, data false alarms 2/19/22, 3/30/22, 4/17/22, amount due $550, no additional outstanding violations.
I rule in case BA 128473 that based on the evidence presented, the violator has failed to pay the false alarm penalty fine imposed by County Ordinance 04-16. I grant the violator 21 days to pay the fine and impose order if the payment is not made by that date, a fine of $30 per day be assessed.
Number 3, BA 126200A. The owner is Kendrick Allen Haynes and Wanda Elaine Haynes, 11934 Cinnamon Fern Drive. We have service and no one is present.
Case BA 126200A, data false alarm 6722, amount due $500, no additional outstanding violations.
I rule in case BA 126200A that based on the evidence presented, the violator has failed to pay the false alarm penalty fine imposed by County Ordinance 04-16. I grant the violator 21 days to pay the fine imposed. Order if payment is not made by that date, a fine of $30 per calendar day be assessed.
Page 3, number 5, BA 47752. The owner is Public Storage, the owner is Storage Equities Incorporated, and the violator is Public Storage. Location 11810 North Nebraska Avenue. We have service on both parties and no one is present.
Case BA 47752, data false alarm 42122, 51022, amount due $450, no additional outstanding violations.
I rule in case BA 47752 that based on the evidence presented, the violator has failed to pay the false alarm penalty fine imposed by County Ordinance 04-16. I grant the violator 21 days to pay the fine imposed. The order if payment is not made by that date, a fine of $30 per calendar day be assessed.
Number 6, BA 130318. This case complied January 11, 2023. Page 4, number 7, BA 7749. The owner is Ahmad Hajaz, and the violator El Cumano Dover Mexican Market, 3220 Sydney Dover Road. We have service and no one is present.
Case BA 7749, data false alarm 61722, 62022, 71722, amount due $325, no additional outstanding violations.
Rule in case BA 7749 that based on the evidence presented, the violator has failed to pay the false alarm penalty fine imposed by County Ordinance 04-16. I grant the violator 21 days to pay the fine imposed. Order if payment is not made by that date, a fine of $25 per day be assessed.
Number 8, BA 100981. The owner is National Retail Properties LP, and the violator is Black Rock Bar and Grill. Location 11702 North Del Mabry Highway. We have service on both parties and no one is present.
Case BA 100981, data false alarm 72622, amount due $100, and there's $100 in additional outstanding violations from October.
My ruling case BA 100981 that based on the evidence presented, the violator has failed to pay the false alarm penalty fine imposed by County Ordinance 04-16. I grant the violator 21 days to pay the fine imposed. Order if payment is not made by that date, a fine of $25 per day be assessed.
Page 5, number 9, BA 76858A. This case complied January 11, 2023. Number 10, BA 117729. This case complied December 30th, 2022. Page 6, number 11, BA 104030. The owner is East Group Properties LP, and the violator is Mattress Firm, 6524 Pelican Creek Circle. We have service on both parties and no one is present.
Case BA 104030, data false alarm 6222, amount due $75, no additional outstanding violations.
I rule in case BA 104030 that based on the evidence presented, the violator has failed to pay the false alarm penalty fine imposed by County Ordinance 04-16. I grant the violator 21 days to pay the fine imposed. Order if payment is not made by that date, a fine of $15 per day be assessed.
Number 12, BA 2886. The owner is Milad Malki and Lena Malki, and the violator, Terry's Grocery, 4821 George Road. We have service on both parties and no one is present.
Case BA 2886, data false alarm 61222, amount due $75, no additional outstanding violations.
I rule in case BA 2886 that based on the evidence presented, the violator has failed to pay the false alarm penalty fine imposed by County Ordinance 04-16. I grant the violator 21 days to come and pay the fine imposed. Order if payment is not made by that date, a fine of $15 per day be assessed.
Number 13, BA 44518B. This case complied December 12, 2022. Page 7, number 14, BA 71700. This case complied December 28, 2022. Number 15, BA 82519A. This case complied November 16, 2022.
Thank you.
And that concludes the false alarm cases.
Excellent.
Next case on page 8 under water ordinance cases, number 17, case number WR 220-2101. The owner is Delence Frager Desmero. Location 10514 Carlo Way Hills Drive. We have service, and he is present. Good morning, sir. Raise your right hand. I'm sorry, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address, please.
Delence Dermo, address 10514 Carlo Hills Drive, Waimama, Florida 33598.
Thank you.
Mr. Fasano?
Yes, sir. I am Carmine Pisano with Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This is case WR 2202101. On Wednesday, 8/17/2022 at 7:20 a.m., Officer Ted Baker arrived at 10514 Carlo Way Hills Drive to observe the sprinkler system watering. One second. I don't have enough problems today. Come on. Okay. Do it this way.
Technology.
To observe the sprinkler system watering the area on the front right side of the driveway. This is a violation for watering during restricted hours. On notice of violation sent on 8/24/2022. Default letter was sent on 10/6/2022. Notice of hearing sent out on 11/22/2022. History on this case is that on 8/5/2021, under WR 2102125, a warning was issued. The fine in this case is $100.
Okay, sir, what would you like to tell me?
On the morning in question, the Sunday prior to, I left work early. That Monday, my son was born. So
Congratulations.
Tuesday, thank you. That Tuesday morning, I was still up at St. Joe South at the hospital with him and my fiance. So I wasn't able to get to the sprinklers. Between working and not getting to the mail on time, that's how I ended up in this predicament. So I'm ready to handle the consequences and pay the fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Have you adjusted your sprinkler system so that it doesn't come on those days anymore?
When I did come home and I seen the notice on the door, I actually turned it off, and I do it manually now. So that's been taken care of.
Okay.
Okay. Probably need a new battery.
The birth of a child is an important thing. So I'm going to waive your fine on this case.
Thank you.
Some mercy, I think, is totally okay. Plus, you're a Gator fan, so
Oh yeah, let's do it.
go Gators. So I'm gonna strike that one. Now, there's other people in the audience that are going to be super upset with me because I'm going to make them pay fines. But I feel like this is an opportunity where you need a little grace.
Thank you.
I'm sure a pair of diapers counts what they're asking you to pay right now. So I'm gonna dismiss this case. Okay, so just
Thank
keep an eye on it. Make sure that if you're doing it manually, then that's fine. But if you set it to auto, make sure that, because the next time it comes around, the fine will be higher because it'll be a repeat violation.
Got it.
Understand?
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
The record should reflect that he also had the baby cry on cue on that.
It was impressive. It was impressive. Absolutely. Yes. So for case WR 2202101, I dismiss this case. Next case, please.
Number 16, WR 2201736. The owner is True North Borrower, Florida, LLC. Location 10083 Sage Creek Drive. We have service and no one is present.
am Carmine Pisano with Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This is the case WR 2201736. On Wednesday, 7/6/2022 at 6:57 a.m., Officer Ted Baker arrived at 10083 Sage Creek Drive to observe the sprinkler system watering the area on the front left side of the home. This is a violation for watering on a restricted day and watering during his restricted hours.
No previous history with the case?
I'm kind of,
Oh, sorry, I thought that was it.
everything going wrong.
Super slow today. I understand.
The notice of violation was sent on 7/8/2022. The fault letter is sent on 10/20/2022. Notice of hearing went out on 11/10/2022. History on the case is that on 11/2/2022, a check was received for $150 from the subject. $100 was applied to a different case and $50 was applied to this case. The fine in this case is $100, but they have an outstanding balance of $50. And I don't know if Sonia can comment if she's prepared to, but I just recently looked in the case file, and on 1/10/23, a lien settlement application was sent. I don't know if that's for the $50 or where, if she has anything on that. But as far as our hearing is concerned, they're $50 still owed on the $100 fine.
They're out. It says 100, but they really are out.
The
Standing
outstanding
is $50. Okay. Will the balance be noted in the notice that we send?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure that they know. Okay.
It's just that they have another case that they are having a settlement for. And when it was researched, they found this case. So they were informed of that they needed to pay
They
that
were.
one before they can settle the other one.
I understand. Okay. Okay. That makes better sense. All right. I rule in case WR 2201736. The base name is presented. The violators failed to pay the water resources penalty fine for illegal sprinkling imposed by Section 111-7 Hillsborough County Codes of Ordinances and Laws, Part B, Public Utilities. Grant the violator 21 days to pay the water penalty fine imposed. Order payment is not made by that date. A fine of $15 per day be assessed.
Number 18, case number WR 2202185. The owner is Kelsey Nicole Chapman, 10072 Victory Gallup Loop. We have service and no one is present.
I am Carmine Pisano with Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This is the case WR 2202185. On Thursday, 8/25/2022 at 8:25 a.m., Officer Ted Baker arrived at 10072 Victory Gallup Loop to find the sprinkler system watering the rear section of the home. This is a violation for watering on a restricted day and during restricted hours. Notice of violation was sent on 8/31/2022. Default letter was sent out on 10/6/2022. Notice of hearing was sent 11/22/2022. History on this case is that on 8/3/2022, under WR 220198, a warning was issued. They do have an upcoming case that has yet to be resolved, but the fine in this case is $100.
I rule in case WR 2202185. The basis of this presented, the violator has failed to pay the water resources penalty fine for illegal sprinkling imposed by Section 111-7 Hillsborough County Codes of Ordinances and Laws, Part B, Public Utilities. Grant the violator 21 days to pay the water penalty fine imposed. Order if that payment is not made by that date, a fine of $15 per calendar day be assessed.
Page 9, number 19, WR 2202187. This case complied January 3rd, 2023. Number 20, case number WR 2202191. The owner is Progress Residential Borrowers 17, LLC, 10618 Scenic Hollow Drive. We have service and no one is present.
I am Carmine Pisano with Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This is the case WR 2202191. On Thursday, 8/25/2022 at 9:53 a.m., Officer Ted Baker arrived at 10618 Scenic Hollow Drive to observe the sprinkler system watering the area on the front right side of the driveway. This is a violation for watering on a restricted day and watering during restricted hours. Notice of violation was sent on 8/31/2022, followed by a default letter on 10/8/2022, and the notice of hearing was sent on 11/22/2022. History at this location is that on 9/17/2021, under WR 2102483, a warning was issued. The fine in this case is $100.
A ruling case WR 2202191, based on the evidence presented, the violator has failed to pay the water resources penalty fine for illegal sprinkling imposed by Section 111-7, Hillsborough County Codes of Ordinances and Laws, Part B, Public Utilities. I grant the violator 21 days to pay the water penalty fine imposed. Order if payment is not made by that date, a fine of $15 per calendar day be assessed.
Number 21, WR 2202218. This case was pulled per staff. Page 10, number 22, WR 2202223. This case complied January 3rd, 2023. Number 23, WR 2202238. This case complied January 10th, 2023. Number 24, WR 2202297. This case complied January 3rd, 2023. Page 11, number 25, case number WR 2202299. The owner, Kevin D. Bethio and Savannah Bethio, 17822 Daisy Farm Drive. We have service and no one is present.
I am Carmine Pisano with Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This is case WR 2202299. On 9/16/2022 at 7 a.m., Officer Ramon Hernandez arrived at 17822 Daisy Farm Drive to observe that the lawn was watered. This is a violation for watering on a restricted day. Notice of violation was sent on 10/19/2022, followed by a default letter on 10/24/2022, and notice of hearing was sent out on 12/29/2022. The notice of hearing was posted by Officer Paul Whaley on 12/29/2022. History at this location was that on 6/17/2022, under WR 2201560, a warning was issued. The fine in this case is $100.
We do not have a picture of it actually being watered. We're just saying it's moist.
Hold on.
Oh, there's video.
There's a video. You can see it watering in the backyard.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
A ruling case WR 2202299. The based on the evidence presented, the violator has failed to pay the water resources penalty fine for illegal sprinkling imposed by Section 111-7, Hillsborough County Codes of Ordinances and Laws, Part B, Public Utilities. Grant the violator 21 days to pay the water penalty fine imposed. Order if payment is not made by that date, a fine of $15 per calendar day be assessed.
That concludes the water ordinance cases.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being patient while we got through all of our paperwork on the things for people that aren't here. Now we're going to focus on things for people that are here.
Okay, turn to page 12 under landscaping and natural resource cases, number 26, case number L 195661. The owner is Magad Abdelmajid. Location 14670 East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. We have service and we do have some parties here to speak.
Hello.
Good morning. Raise your right hand, please. And will the gentleman be testifying?
Yes.
Oh, if he will testify, right, he needs. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address.
Ferris Khalil, 9416 Lippin Street, Sefner, Florida 33584.
Thank you.
My name is Majid Abdelmajid. My address is 1904 Country Club Court, Plant City, Florida.
Thank you. There are some other people signed in. Is someone else going to testify? Do you,
Sure, let's go ahead and get you sworn
Yeah,
in.
the complainant is there.
okay.
Hi, my name is Guadalupe Hogan, and I'm here with my mother, Prisca Rodriguez
Okay.
Ibarra.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
We do.
And state your, did you, you just said your name and address, right?
I did.
And could she give her name and address? In the microphone, please.
Yo me llamo Prisca Rodríguez de Ibarra. Mi dirección es La Ley Avenue 14653.
Thank you.
I also brought some photos. I don't know, I'm not sure who to give it to. Thank you.
They'll come grab them for you. We're going to hear the testimony of the case first, and then we'll hear the violator, and we'll get to you from there. Good afternoon, Ms. Brock.
Good afternoon. Lindsay Brock, Hillsborough County Natural Resources. This is case L195661. Owner violator, Majid Abdel Majid. Violation address 14670 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., folio 83544-0000. Violation unpermitted land alteration fill. Prior case CE 184872, notice September 26, 2018. Ordinance violated section 4.01, first inspection September 10th, 2019. October 15th, 2019. Last inspection January 4th, 2023. I'll now hand it over to Jim Rauch, the inspector.
Good afternoon, Jim.
Good afternoon. Is this really your last code board? I heard you may be leaving us, and I thought, how fitting on Friday the 13th.
Right, exactly. I serve at the pleasure of the county until I'm replaced, so I'm kind of in limbo, but still here, still ticking. So,
Well, we're glad you're here today.
thanks, sir.
These are from the original case. There was, if you look at the photo on the right, you can see the store and restaurant in front where the semi is parked on the top of the page to the left. Where the piles of dirt are dumped on the back, there used to be a house there in early 2018, and the house was removed. They purchased the property, I guess. They removed the building, and they were going to expand their building and restaurant. They expanded their septic system into that area, and we're going to expand parking into there also. They brought fill in, which caused the flooding that you can see in the picture on the left. This case was an open case. He was noticed, received notice, and it was decided by management to put it on with the building permit. He put in a building permit to do the additional building. So this case was complied only because it was supposed to be repaired with the building permit that went on. We were thinking it would take maybe a year or two to build, and unfortunately it took until just this last year. So these people have been underwater for quite a while. The system was built up and pushed right out to the edge of the property line. If we can go to the next slide. The fill goes right up to the property line. You can see the fence on the left, and the dirt is about a foot high at the property line and then tapers up from there. The other photo is taken from the front of the property. The complainant's property is on the right-hand side. This is earlier when they had just started the septic system, and later more fill was brought in and it was finished off and sodded. Next slide. This is taken from the other side. You can see some of the water standing on the neighbor's property. The other picture on the right is the building and restaurant that they have, or it's a store, whatever it is. There is no stormwater system here. It was an older building and there was none to start with. And when they turned in plans, because the addition was under the square footage, they never required another pond to go in. But had they realized that it was an older system and there was no system there to start with, it's just because we were short-staffed and it was an oversight. There should have been a required stormwater pond, but it was never installed. So the water runs off this building, it runs off the back of the building onto the neighbors, it runs around this building, gets to where the septic mound is on the west side of it, and then it funnels around into the neighbor's property, and it all rolls back to the north to Lake Avenue that the complainant lives on. Next slide. This is the finished building, just the last inspection I did. Oh, the date on that is wrong. That's actually I can get the date of that photo if you need it, but it's for the recent inspection for this. It's just showing the fill was still there, and this is the west side of the building where the water comes around and flows back. The septic mound is straight behind the building, and then the water is funneled back to the right side of the building and goes into the neighboring property. Next slide.
Jim, the photo does say January 4th, 2023 on it.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's got it there. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the top on the date there. Gonna have to talk to the guy that made this PowerPoint.
Uh-oh.
So we're asking that within 60 days, they redesigned it. Instead of pulling a permit, we're going to do it as a field revision. That way it'll save time and we can go back as if though we're restoring and repairing the existing permit. Within 60 days, redesign the drainage on the commercial lot so that none of the stormwater flows to 14653 Lake Avenue, Dover, and submit plans to Hillsborough County Development Review for review and approval by the Stormwater Department as a field revision. Make required repairs within 30 days after that. After the plans are approved. Daily fines will be assessed for each time frame not met.
Okay. I understand.
Now, they submitted some pictures. Do you want to see them?
That's from the folks that are being impacted by the water. I'd like to hear from the violator first. So,
Let me know when you're ready.
gentlemen,
Yes.
okay, what would you like to tell me?
Well,
You
This
tip
is-
that microphone up so my folks downtown can hear you.
this
There you go.
this system been going for a long time. The first one though, he was telling about the high mounted. It was hired by Tampa Septic, and they submitted the documents and they did it according to the plans. And I paid him after he showed me that it was approved. Now, recently, someone else came out over there, and I happened to be there, and they told me this one seems kind of high. I told them I didn't do it, the company did, and their documentation showing, and they got approved by the county for that. Anyway, they said no, it won't pass. So we had to redo the whole thing. And we did the whole thing, and they had to dig down and get it leveled out so it won't be as mounted. It's not like I made it mounted. They did it as, I guess, the water level around. I don't know. And we have the company here who did it this time, and they also shows that we paid him, and they also got from the county that they already had inspected. So from my knowledge, is everything got to code, and the company that did it is still on site.
Well, that might be your opinion, but obviously there's water that's flowing onto other people's yards. So something's not working correctly. So if you've had a subcontractor go out and perform that work, then you need to get with them to have that issue resolved.
Exactly. That's what happened. They came out and they redesigned it and they leveled it and they submitted the plans, and that's how they got it.
But they can submit plans and get the plans approved, but obviously what they submitted and what's actually happening on the site doesn't match. So what they're asking for is for it to do as a field review so that you can correct the issue without having to go back.
But I
through
thought
and-
this was the correction for that.
Well,
That
Sir,
was
if
the
I may?
thing. Yes.
If I may, the permit you have is for the septic system. That's issued by the state, not the county. And it doesn't address drainage at all. They're only talking about the mound itself. There should have been about a 5-foot buffer left between the fence and the mound. It shouldn't have been so far to each of the property lines. It should be farther away because right now it's high and it flows down and it's blocking all the water from the south end where your building is. All of your building water is running onto the neighbor's property.
Not following exactly what you saying, but I'm more likely to show it to them because they are the experts on that, not me. And I do it. I just go along with the plans that they do, and I had to pay their work. That's exactly what we've been doing, and that's what happened for the
Unfortunately,
last
it's,
few years.
you understand, unfortunately, it's not correct. So what the staff has given here is a timeline for you to redesign that
So
drainage.
this one here just got done in August. It's not correct?
What the young ladies behind you are going to show me and what's already been shown on the screen is that there's water being directed to their property. That's water that you need to prevent from going to their property.
And that's
So
why.
if your property is not preventing that water from going to their property, then something's amiss. And that's your responsibility as the property owner
Yes,
to
I
keep it
understand.
contained. Okay.
That's why when we hired them, they did all that for that reason.
And then you need to go back to them and tell them that they didn't do it correctly. I mean, there's plenty of pictures, and these young ladies, I'm sure, will be happy to give you a set of them.
Because
to
they
show
were
them.
talking about that pitch and all that levelation, and they did it according
Well,
to.
there isn't any. You can see the pictures. It's a mound. There's no.
The mount is
nothing's
gone.
been
The old mount you're talking about, this is gone. The old mount. Now they leveled it. I'm not saying.
So you've had somebody out since these pictures were taken and have made corrections?
Yes, not recently. When you say this pictures, some of them go back to 2018.
No, I'm not concerned with the 2018.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the pictures that he's shown for January 3rd, 2022.
No, since August of 22. After August 22, everything the same thing as August 22, as we have it here on the documents. After that, we didn't do any modification because we weren't aware if any needed to be done.
Right. Well, and since that time, it's rained, and now you can see that your property is pushing water to other residents.
I mean, but how many times people has to do it? Because according to the report that was given to Quality Septic, they did it according to that. You know, the report that was given by, I'm assuming, the inspector or the officer that came out, because they're the one who gave him.
So they did it to what it was required.
Yes.
If they did, this water wouldn't be on other people's property. It's not correct.
He's confusing two things. He's confusing his septic
You're talking about the
issue
septic versus
with
the
the
actual
stormwater
drainage.
issue.
Yeah, the stormwater is separate from what happened with.
Yeah, no, I understand. And
okay.
they even talked about that little pitch or there like a little drainage on the sides.
A swale.
Yes, swell. Yes, swell.
Sure.
And they did mention that, and they did point it out, and they did show it, and said
And they didn't complete it.
Well, I'm just saying because this is what they offered me, and this is what they provided to me by.
I totally understand. You hired a subcontractor to do the work. Your subcontractor has not done what you believe needs to take place.
Okay.
Not the responsibility of the county. That's your responsibility.
So
And so what staff is recommending is that you, within 60 days, you redesign the drainage, you submit the plans for review, and you make the repairs. That's the timeline that they're giving.
That's what we done supposedly.
I understand. It's frustrating, but clearly it's not complete.
So who would I get these documents, or who would I get these papers or documents with? Because I need to forward them to them so they could reach out and get it done.
Ms. Brock, do you want to explain the process?
Yeah, you can coordinate that with Mr. Rauch.
Okay.
Yep,
And who is Mr. Rauch?
the inspector.
The inspector.
Oh,
It's
okay.
online.
Do I have his number somewhere?
We can get that to you, sir.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yep.
We have your contact information, so we'll be in touch.
So you have you understand in regards to the staff recommendations, the timelines, correct? Because those are the timelines I'm going to follow.
Yes,
If you
yes.
had any questions with those, but okay. So I appreciate you continuing to follow up with it and working with.
Yeah,
your
because
subcontractor.
I wanted to get it done.
Right, you want to be done and
This
have
is
that
the
out of your
second
hair.
time I'm paying for it.
Sure.
It's not the first time either.
I'm not a lawyer, but I would
No, I
suggest that
understand.
you know
Okay.
find somebody and say, I don't think you've done this correctly. And there's no reason, pay it again if they're not doing it correctly for you. So
Well, I like to understand so I could tell them, hey, you told me this and
Absolutely.
this is something else.
at the end of the day, whatever solution they come up with and you get approved by Hillsborough County Development Review needs to keep the water on your parcel. So that should be the easiest driver for you to determine whether or not repairs have been done correctly. So
Okay.
if the young ladies aren't getting flooded out next door to you, then obviously it's probably been done correctly. So,
Okay.
okay, excellent. Well, it doesn't sound like a lot of conflict here. Ladies, I'd be happy to hear your testimony. I can look at the pictures, but basically what we've already decided is that it's not correct, and the violators have already described that they're going to go through the process that's been outlined here for staff in the next 60 days to get through that process, get it redesigned, submit the plans to the county for approval, and then make the repairs within 30 days. Is that, I don't want to short your time because you came down, but if there's anything else you'd like to add, I'd be happy to
Let me
listen to
just
it.
double check with them.
Absolutely.
La maestra dice que ya aprobaron que ellos necesitan cambiar eso, tienen 60 días para cambiar todo. Ellos no, si quieren podemos hablar y decir lo que vamos a decir, pero todos nos ya van a caso. Como usted quiera.
Ok, como tú quieres, pues como tú digas.
Usted dígame. ¿Quiere que todavía digan?
Pues yo te dijera que sí.
So we kind of got together and just typed some stuff down. I have to translate for my mom, and it's easier if I have it written down.
Sure.
And read it out, but she would like for me to still go ahead.
Please.
Okay, so we as a family have been suffering due to this flooding since 2018. In 2018, the next door property was purchased by the opposing party. Construction began shortly after. Most of the work was done during the night and finished before sunrise. There were too many dump trucks coming in and out of the property with loads of soil to count. The summer came along, we noticed that the yard was flooding, and we couldn't understand why, considering my parents have owned this property for over 20 years and this has never happened. After taking a closer look, we understand that due to the additional 2 or more feet of soil that was placed into this property, we are now dealing with constant flooding. Not only does this property flood with rainwater, but they also have a sewer pump in this property that is open multiple times a day to drain sewer water, which also floods into the property and at times into my parents' home. The smell of the sewer water, which I understand is a separate issue, is uninhabitable. Our children can no longer play in this yard due to the smell and the residue this water leaves. We cannot let our animals free in our gated property and fear that they will drink the water. The shed where my parents store tools, gardening supply, equipment is ruined due to the constant flooding. And last, my elderly parents can no longer enjoy sitting outside without getting nauseous. This is 4 years of complete negligence from the opposing party. And I also brought like the video of the sewer pump, and I mean, I understand, and yep.
Yep, no,
Thank
no
you
worries.
for
Like I
listening.
said, I don't want to short you for your time. You're more
Absolutely.
than welcome. We're happy to go through it if you want to, but I feel like this is the issue in regards to the stormwater that we can
Correct.
address. The issue with your storm, with your sewer and things like that. Ms. Brock, I believe that'd be an EPA.
That's the State Department of Health, yep.
State Department of Health,
Yes.
and you can get with Ms. Brock, and I'm sure she'd be happy to help you if you wanted to take that a different direction for that.
Absolutely.
That piece of it, at least give you a contact so you know which direction to go on
Yes.
that. But this is just in regards to the.
I
to the
understood,
stormwater.
yep.
Okay, all right, no problem. So do you understand the recommendations by staff? Are you okay with everything?
I do.
In there, and they'll have to, as they go through the process, they're going to be, the inspector, Jim will be out there to go through each one of those steps, and they'll be held accountable as they go through it. So I'm hopeful. I know it's been a long process. So when I saw 2018, I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
But I think their intention is good overall, and I think we give them an opportunity to make the corrections that need to be made and go from there. And then you know the process if there's still an issue.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for coming down. I appreciate it. Gentlemen, just before you go, is there anything you'd like to rebut? Anything you want to add before I make my ruling? You guys are good?
One question.
Please, up at the podium so my folks downtown can hear you.
Whenever they came out and they did the inspection, this last inspection, was it both health and county or just the health?
It was just the county.
Just the county?
Yeah, Mr. Rauch, you can confirm that, please.
Yeah, I've never met the health department out there. I was unaware that he was having the system redone. It's completely 2 separate issues.
Thank you.
So this one here says from the health department that it was approved. What does that mean? So when I go back to
Correct.
quality
That
septic,
means
I
your
know what they
septic
tell us.
system was approved, but you still need to fix the drainage.
Okay, well, that was the reason of making the whole project,
Sure,
to get rid of
both issues.
the whole issue,
Sure.
which is both
That's it.
Understand. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll go ahead and roll. I rule in case L 195661 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, concur with staff's recommendations, require the violator to, within 60 days, redesign the drainage on the commercial site so that none of the stormwater flows to 14653 Lake Avenue, Dover, and submit plans to Hillsborough County's Development Review for review and approval by the Stormwater Department as a field revision. Also, the violator is required to make required repairs within 30 days after the plans are approved. Failure to meet any of the timelines listed above will result in a daily fine of $300 per calendar day. Next case, please.
Page 14, number 30, case number L227519. The owner is Charleston Corners Property Owners Association Incorporated. And the location is the Tico easement west of the subdivision. And we have service and we have some parties signed in for this case. If you're here for this case, come up. We've got a lot of people. Okay, one moment. Everybody's going to have to take the oath of witness. So if you would all gather around and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, and each of you at the microphone, state your name and address.
I'm Richard Gagan. I'm live up in Land O'Lakes, and I'm here for CES Engineering, headquartered in Clearwater.
Okay, you're representing the property owner?
Property owner.
Okay.
The property owner, yes.
Okay, can you give your address, your business address?
Our business address is 1433 South Fort Harrison Avenue, Clearwater, Florida, 33756.
Thank you.
Any?
Lydia LaPlante, 9619 Fredericksburg Road, Tampa, Florida. Sorry, I've lost my voice.
No worries. And your relation to the case?
I'm president of the association.
President Association. Okay, thank you. Next.
My name is Tenley Tartaglia Cook. I live at 8709 Huntfield Street, 33635, and my home is the main taker of all the water intrusion.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Cook.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is George Small. I live at 8517 Hayward Road, Tampa, Florida, and I am the vice president of the Charleston Corners Homeowners Association.
Okay. We have good representation from the Owner Association today. Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Brock?
All right, Lindsay Brock with Hillsborough County Natural Resources. This is case L227519. Owner violator, Charleston Corners Property Owners Association, Inc. Vacant land, no address. The folio is 00433988694. Violation is draining stormwater to a neighboring subdivision. Ordinance violated section 4.01. First inspection, June 10, 2022. First notice, June 21st, 2022. Last inspection, December 30th, 2022. Inspections conducted 5. I'll now hand it over to the inspector, Jim Rauch.
Okay, so you can see Miss Cook's property on the right-hand side in the left picture where the pool
Sorry,
is.
Jim. Jim, real quick, just going to make you identify yourself.
Jim Rauch, Hillsborough County Stormwater.
Thank you.
The property, the picture to the left, the property to the left of the fence belongs to the subdivision that's behind the white wall on the left of the open property. It's an open TECO easement. TECO has power lines through there and they have access and easement on that property. It's a 50-foot area. The property to the left, which is actually on the east side, sits higher than this property does. And as it rains, I have another picture later. You can see it sits in fact, the picture on the right, you can see the houses in the distance. They sit a little bit higher. So the grade comes down.
Sandbags?
Yeah.
Guessing that's what the sandbags are for?
Right. It was, the water's coming through and the houses in the property on the west, the houses behind the wall on the left, they're B drainage. So they front yards drain to the street and their backyards drain to that Tico easement. There isn't sufficient grading in that Tico easement. And you can even see from the picture on the left that the grade drops from the right to the left. It drops from the east to the west. And it also drops about 10 feet in elevation from the far end of the subdivision to this picture is taken at Waters Road. So the water is coming down kind of like a river. Unfortunately, Miss Cook's property is a bit of a plateau area, a flatter area. And a lot of the water that's coming down is filtering through her fence and running through her property and going to the front. You can go to the next slide. Here's another picture. You can see the houses on the right. The picture on the left, the houses on the right sit much higher than the houses on the left. And also it is looking uphill at this point. So the water's draining down toward me as I take the picture. The picture on the right is right at her property, and you can see where that white is in the sand. That's actually where the sand is washing down. Yes, the sand is silting down and washing toward the fences on her side. Next picture. This just gives you a little better idea of the property. The highlighted property is Miss Cook's property, and then the subdivision that's in the green is the other property on the other side, and you can see the Tico easement in the middle of it. And the water on this is running from the north to the south and also from the east to the west. Next slide. This is a LiDAR image. It shows the darker brown color is a higher elevation, and then the dark green is lower, and the light colored green is lower than that, and the blue is even lower. So you can see where the water is coming down, and it also drops in elevation or raises in elevation to the north of this picture and drops in elevation to the south. This is a bit of a plateaued area where Miss Cook's property is. So the water's coming down, it's hitting in this area, and then it's running through her property that has the blue lines on the left. It's highlighted, and it's running through her property. Next photo. This shows there the subdivision. The Tico easement you see is on the top of the page, and you can see that it shows all the lots are B drainage, where the front runs to the street and the back of the drainage goes into that Tico easement. Next slide. So they need to correct the drainage so that they need to get with Tico also. So we gave them a little extra day to get this figured out because they're going to have to get with Tico. I talked to a contractor that was out there working for Tico, and they said 50-foot easement is more than generous for what they need. They said as long as they can get a truck in and out, they're good. There should be no problem creating a proper drainage there. So within 60 days, submit a permit to correct the drainage for folio 004-339-8694, Charleston Corners Property Homeowners Association, Inc. And then within 90 days after the county approved the permit, complete the required drainage improvements and fines for the timeframes not being met.
Okay. All right, let's hear from the homeowners association first. Who would like to speak?
I'll talk. I want to talk about the technical aspects of the drainage, the technical aspects. Of
I understand
drainage.
that's what you want to talk about, but I'd like to speak to the officers of the homeowner association first, if that's okay.
Excuse me.
No problem. It's all right.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What would you like to tell me?
Yes, first of all, we have been very understanding of what's happening here. And we haven't ignored anything. A lot of what we've tried to put together with our engineering firm was done very quickly because we got the notice of the hearing through the holiday season, and trying to get good information from TICO or the county or SwiftMud or what have you was like pulling teeth.
Sure.
You know, with COVID and everybody being out. So, you know, we've hired CES Engineering. We've had them on board to actually look at this from a hydraulic engineering standpoint. Charleston Corners, that I'm the vice president of, has been a development that was approved and built back in the mid-90s. So this has been here since the mid-90s. I don't really have any record for Charleston or for Country Way. We actually had trouble trying to get their site drawings. We just couldn't come up with them. But as you'll see, I think in our presentation, you know, what we have there in the 50-foot easement, there's also an additional 10-foot drainage easement that's off of our property, that's on the Country Way side, that runs parallel to the TICO easement and runs in back of all the homes on the Country Way side, including the complainant's home. It's clearly shown on all the drawings. So I think we'll, you know, be able to present that. But the, you know, like I say, we're not ignoring it, and that's, you know, why we're here, because, you know, we want to, you know, see that it's done, whatever's done is done right, and, you know, that the responsible parties are the ones. And that's why we mentioned TICO, because it is their easement. It's our property, but there's an extensive easement agreement with TICO. There's both high tension poles and now underground lines that were just recently buried during this whole process. And we also understand that there is an underground Hillsborough County water line in that easement area.
They're not making it any easier.
They're not making it any easier, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I will let Nidhi, our president, she would like to say anything, and then we'll turn it over to our engineer.
You're gonna have to come up and stand next to the microphone to say whatever you want to say, just for our folks downtown.
Not very much.
That's okay.
To what George has been said. As he said, we've been taking this very seriously, going there at times ready to see what's going on. So we understand that there was a gully,
Swale ditch?
swell ditch that was built on their side all the way up. And as houses were being built, that was filled in, which is one of the reasons the water is now staying. Instead of what it does, it goes to a lake that they have on that side.
Okay.
So it's been building for years, apparently.
Well, that's why I wanted to start with you folks. I'm glad to hear about the cooperation. So now I'll take your technical side of things
All right,
and
thank you.
go from there. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sir,
Yes.
you have the floor.
We didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this because, again, the notice, the time it was sent out.
I didn't have a lot of
understand.
time to prepare for this
And,
either. We'll get through it together.
I have a 52-page report that we've done based on what's going on there. We
Okay.
didn't have time to present it.
Do I need to read that, or are you going to
We
give me
would
the
like
bullet
for
points?
someone to review it,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
And also, we were still waiting. SwiftMud was also investigating this complaint, and they did not come back with a response until Wednesday. And based on that, Jim, did you see the letter from SwiftMud?
I did not.
SwiftMud came back and they said in their letter that there is no adverse impacts created by the Charleston Corners. Now, there is some maintenance issues, and it does need some grading and some vegetation and stuff like that removed that might be obstructing some flow. But SwiftMud is saying that they sent this back to you, and they're saying that the reason for the drainage problem is that the swale on the east boundary in Country Way is out of compliance. It's been modified. As you know, it's probably a thing that you deal with a lot, that they get covered up, people put fences in the way and everything else. So SwiftMud is saying that that is a big part of the drainage problems, and that they're created because the swell is not there. Now, that swell was put in as part of a exemption with the original development as the part of the master drainage plan. So that does have some impact on, that swell does belong there and it should be used for drainage.
Correct,
And
but that's their swale for their subdivision, not for your use. And
that's
I'll agree
correct.
with you on that. They do have some drainage issues in their drainage swale. There's some blockage with fences and some people planted material in there, but that shouldn't bring water through her back fence. So once you guys resolve that, then we're gonna have to issue on the other side and get them to all correct the drainage from one neighbor to the next.
Okay, this can be corrected with grading and some other things, but long-term, I know that you submitted a suggestion that the swell be put on the east side of the, on the other side in the Charleston Corners area, which is a pretty big undertaking to put a 1,200-foot swell through there. Also, I don't know what the logistics of the TICO underground utilities and the water lines and stuff would be, but long-term, I think, maybe everybody should look at that. And that would probably be something that would be a shared cost, I would think, because that property is used by the county, by TICO. The swell is designed to be over there on the Countryway side. If the swell was moved, it would probably relieve some of the drainage problems, but that's not the permitted design for either one of the facilities.
What's the date of the report you had from Swift Mud?
It's dated the 9th. I received it by email on the 10th after working hours and didn't see it till the 11th. It was sent to Ms. Cook. You have it.
Yeah, maybe Rich, you remember we had quite a number of conversations about this, and there was a parallel complaint, both with the county and with Swift Mud. And we've had many conversations over this period of time with Swift Mud and GMU. And one of the conversations was that because they're parallel, that if whatever Swift Mud required of us or found or whatever, that they would more than likely be the lead dog in this, and that whatever they would dictate would satisfy the county's requirement, and that they would, because they were parallel, it wouldn't be like, well, you got to do us and you have to do them too. And so you may remember that conversation back, a couple months ago that we had. And so then, we were pressuring Swift Mud and whatever, but they work at their own pace also. And so now we have that report. And so I hope you remember that conversation we had about how we could resolve this because of the parallel complaints.
The drainage issues that affect Ms. Cook could be corrected with some maintenance, as you and I discussed, either by, I think there's some clearing that could be done, or with possibly a swell or something there. And I think that would be a first approach, to try to correct it in that manner and then see what happens from there. If that corrects the issue, I think it would. And long-term, again, that's up to all of you other folks to try to resolve, so these complaints don't keep coming up and coming up. I know there have been some previous complaints and they were tabled, and there's really been no resolve on this. So I feel that it's going to come up again, if not with her yard, but somewhere else. So long-term, I think everybody needs to work together and get something done on it. And I have this report I can send to you, Jim, and to whoever else I need to send it
Pass
to.
the ladies here to your left, and we'll take it into evidence, and I'll take a look at it.
And I'll send it to you electronically, Jim.
All right, thank you.
Oh, went the other way. Ms. Cook. Hi. You have the floor.
I have pictures.
Okay.
as well.
Can you grab the pictures for me too, please? Sorry.
Which will explain.
You can do that in front of the microphone so my folks downtown know what's happening. They get
Can you guys hear?
confused.
Here you go. I have the same one, so I can just explain in pictures exactly. I purchased this house in March of 2020. None of this was disclosed, and I filed my first complaint in 2020 in June, when the first time this happened to me in my property, and my pool was brown and my whole yard is covered. And that first year, there were 2 storms that flooded my whole yard and put it out of commission. Last year, there were 3, and this year there were 6. Since I've moved in 2020, that whole first year of 2020, it went to the county. I'm sure that Jim has all of those documents, where it went back and forth county, and they went to the engineer, and then they decided, because Swift Mud permitted that home, what do you call it, subdivision, and the county permitted ours. They said it was Swift Mud, again, because the problem's coming from Charleston Corners into our neighborhood. So then they sent it to Swift Mud, and Swift Mud never followed up with me. So then I filed another complaint in 2022 after waiting 2 more years, because still nothing got done. I finally spoke to Jim, who told me that the last person had retired and they thought Swift Mud had taken it over and obviously fixed it. Talked to Swift Mud several times in this past year. Swift Mud seems to think, since our houses weren't there when they're building their property, that there used to be that swale on our side, except for that when our houses got built, it's clearly for our neighborhood, not theirs. They decided, I think, that that was enough drainage to come down from their whole neighborhood. They don't have any other drainage except for the other side. As you can see from his pictures, it goes down, 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 down to the city drain in front of my house. I have 3 French drains in my yard now. If you look at the, if you look at the 4th page, you can see that I have them around the other side of my pool. That's my pool, it's brown. Those grates go all the way around the back of the pool, the left of the pool, the right of the pool, all around my house. And that drain goes to a drain in the front of my fence, to another drain at the sidewalk that goes into the city. There's more than ample drainage, more than that swale would have had ever. My neighbor to the right has a French drain. My neighbor to the left has 2 French drains. And none of it can handle their drainage for their whole neighborhood. The first picture I have is the grade, and it shows their fence, the grade, and then where the water sits on their side. The second picture is, again, the bottom is the easement. The top is my yard, and all underwater. That's day 1. The third picture, that is how far across the pool it comes. It covers over the pool and goes forward even more to my front yard. It's 5 inches deep right after the rain, right after the storm. If you look at the next picture, there you can see my pool deck. And what you see under my pool deck is like 6 inches of space from the erosion, from years and years and years of them not having their own drainage system, and it all pooling into my yard because of that little tiny swale that's supposed to take everybody's drainage. The next one is the water where it comes up to my sliding glass door and almost into my house on the same day as the flood. And you can see like the pool and the whole cement, all of it's covered with water, again, from a storm, not even a hurricane. My neighbors to the left of me have water damage inside their house when this happens. The next one is the front of my yard going out my fence, down the hill, that water. If you look right next to the fence, that's also a big French drain that comes from backyard and then goes underneath and down to the sidewalk, which flows like a waterfall for days after it's trying to drain our yard out. The next to the last one, it's the other direction. You can see from my yard where it goes across all the way to the back corner. And those are my dogs that don't have a yard for 6 months out of the year. My kids don't have a yard for 6 months out of the year because of, by the time these 6 storms have come through, there's another one, another one, another one. I've had no use of the yard. We have no use of the pool half of the year. And my dogs accidentally got out when I was trying to get out to take pictures. And you see, I couldn't catch them. And this is my neighbor's yard, the very last picture. That's their whole backyard, and that's the fence outside of my yard going forward. And I have heard nothing from them. Every single flood this year, all 6 of them, I sent an email with pictures and updates, how bad my yard was damaged. That, like, the foundation of my house is now not solid because it's cracked all the way down like this from all the flash floods. My pool isn't stable because there's this much space under the cement deck. There's nothing at all. They said they were surprised my pool isn't cracked yet. And literally every single flood, I have mailed their property manager, who now doesn't work there anymore, who told me to stop sending pictures because they weren't going to do anything.
Do you have that?
I'm really just frustrated.
Do you have that email train that says
I
it?
do have it. I don't have it here, but I do have it. Jim has it too.
Okay.
Even the one where she said to stop sending emails because we're not going to do anything. So I'm sorry that I don't believe any of that. I haven't heard any communication back from them. I've communicated. First complaint was in 2005 from the owners before me. That's where it started. So this has been happening because they don't have a drainage system that they never put in. And they were expecting that the swale on our yard for our neighborhood was supposed to take theirs too, as far as I can tell, because I have more than enough drainage in my backyard to make up for that swale. Nothing can handle this much water from their neighborhood and our neighborhood. So this has been since I owned the house, 3 years. I don't know how much more time I'm supposed to be patient with. I've lost use of my property. I've lost enjoyment of my property. My kids can't go out in their pool. My dogs can't go outside. I have no use of any property in the back. And I just don't think it's reasonable for them to say that there's any part of our neighborhood that should be taking any responsibility for repairs before they do and put their own drainage in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add something, please?
Sure.
I just want to speak to the issue that there's no drainage system over there. There is a designed drainage system that was approved and permitted. I don't know the intent of what the engineers did. They may have considered, since it's type B grading and it flows to the front and back, that 50-foot of easement would serve as a means to handle the water coming off of those lots. The swell, the area itself is sloped from north to south, as Jim indicated, with about a 10-foot drop. So I think that probably their thinking was that that was going to surface flow and take care of it. At the other 2 ends, at the south end, there's 2 ponds on both properties. So again, I don't know the intent, but they do have a permitted drainage system in place.
And have you made a recommendation to the homeowner association in regards to what they can do to rectify this situation?
Yes.
So the water
Yes,
that
we
they are
have.
responsible for
Yes,
is not carrying down?
Yes, we've made some, and we visited the site, we reviewed it. And again, we think some maintenance, grading, and some, maybe clearing some vegetation would really enhance what's supposed to be going on there.
Okay. All right. Can I have the homeowner association come back up, please? So when I had you come up, we had a discussion at the very beginning. sounds like you guys are very compassionate and wanting to make sure that this isn't going to happen anymore. When you had your representative come up from the engineering firm, what I heard, and I've only read 3 sentences of a 52-page report, but what I heard is that it's not necessarily on you guys, and that there's some other issues, and really it's just a drainage, and we can do a little swale here, and obviously there's other folks that are involved in TICO and SwiftMud and things like that. But I guess what I'm looking for from you is reaffirming that commitment that you do believe that there is an issue here that you folks need to address, confirming that you've read the staff recommendations that Ms. Brock read earlier, understand that process, and are okay with the timelines so that you can go through, because to me, this is more than just going out with a backhoe and making a slight adjustment. This is going through the permitting process, making sure that the right people are looking at it, making sure that the folks that in those departments, including TICO and all those others, because of that easement, get a chance to look at it, review it, and make sure that it's taken care of from one end to the other, not just an individual home. Am I missing something there?
No,
Okay.
I guess you're fine. I just question, it's like an octopus with eight legs. We have a permitted, been there since the 90s, mid-90s. The design probably went in maybe late 89, 1990s. Okay. Homes were built. It's existed for 30 years. Okay. Country Way had their design. So, and there's a swale that's shown on all the property plats, the surveyed plats, that is on their side of the fence. I don't know, all the engineering hydraulics that went into that, but that at that time, was it. Now there's been a lot of lateral fences put in. There's been yard elevations changed. People have put raised gardens in. Some have just plugged it up. They've actually built in the restricted easement. I mean, it's clearly labeled on all the right-of-way plats. You can't put a patio, you can't put permanent structures, and you probably are familiar with that. I'm pretty sure the choir. But that's all been compromised on their side.
Right.
Okay.
And I agree with you that there's
so,
other dominoes to fall here. That
yeah.
In your reference in regards to octopus was a pretty good one in my opinion. But regardless, the easement at the end of the day it's your property that
Exactly.
you've given an easement to. So it's not like it's split down the middle, and but that entire, if I'm misunderstanding, Jim, let me know. But yeah. I'm not an engineer. I just play one on TV. Sure. But I'm pretty sure what I saw there was that easement is your property. So to me, there's responsibility there. I guess what I'm asking, I don't mean to drag this out. I want to make sure that everybody is comfortable with a solution here, but I want to make sure that you understand what the staff's recommendations are in regards to submitting a permit, that you've had a conversation with your contractor in regards to that, and you understand that once these timelines are set, the process that you're going to have to go through, whatever that ends up being, that the county and TICO go through to the corrections need to be made. Obviously, those are going to be what is the bench for you. I just want to make sure that we're all in agreement as to if you have a concern with anything here in regards to staff's recommendation, I'd like to know about it.
Well, I think maybe that's a little aggressive from the timeline, just based on what we've had to go through to get to where we are today, and be able to understand the engineering and the hydraulics and where the water's flowing from. To the north, there are huge conservation areas that have very deep drop inlets to collect flow. Mm-hmm. And, I think what we're hearing is that we're looking at a total hydraulics study of that whole area, which could be very expensive. And I don't know that, and we're looking at water runoff that's from their facilities, through us, and then back down to their ponds. And to say to Charleston Corners, hey, you've got to study this whole drainage. It's like, it's not a new development. It's not new construction. And so I'm confused about the permitting process. I've only lived in Florida for, 4 years. And so I'm very unfamiliar with this.
I've lived here since I was 5, and I'm still confused about
it.
So that part I understand.
Again, like I said, we're aware of it, and we want to see that it gets all resolved. you know, the time frame. I don't know, you could probably, because you're engineering, I mean, there's a lot involved, and I think we have to define what area we need to look at. If we just need to concentrate behind this one home, that's fine. Or if we need to go 12, 18, 2,000 feet of a hydraulic study and look at all the flow coming in and whatever, I mean, we're talking about a monumental type of effort.
So let me
I
clear
think
that.
somebody else should also pony up and be part of this.
We have to start someplace. If there's another development or somebody that's impacting you, then you have every right to go and file a complaint and go through the process for the next domino down the line or above the line that's impacting your subdivision. Just for clarification, let me say the staff recommendation is what they're saying here is within 60 days, you have 2 months to submit a permit application. Doesn't have to be approved. It has to be submitted. And then you go through the whole process with everybody and their sister and all those departments and studies and all the things that are required for the county. After a permit is issued, then you have 90 days to complete the improvements. So it's not like it's not like you're going to go and get this done in 60 days. That's not what I'm reading here. And please.
So where in this process do we bring the other parties in? You know, should Country Way be involved? Should TECO be involved? Where in the process, you know, do we bring these people in?
That's a discussion that you'll have to have at the permitting level. And right now, the only thing I can address is the impact of the property owner. And right now, the section that we're dealing with the easement is owned by Charleston Corners Property Association. So that's where we're starting. I don't necessarily know if there's something with their subdivision or other subdivisions. I know water has to go someplace, but I think you and I can both agree, looking at the pictures from this young lady's yard, is unacceptable. So we've got to start someplace. And this is, I think, a good place to start. So the timelines, I think, are incredibly generous based on other cases I've seen over my years. And Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but this process is going to evolve as it moves forward. I'm really looking forward to this 52-page report that I can read tonight. But
well, a lot of that is documented drawings and plats.
Thank goodness, because if I don't have pictures, I'll fall asleep. So
there's only 5 pages of text.
If it's a novel, if it's a novel, I'm in trouble. I'll have to sit up straight.
We were up till 1 o'clock this morning, trying to make sure we put what was pertinent in the.
It looks very thorough. I'm sure that's going to help move the process along. So I just want to be sure from a standpoint of what they're asking for you from based on the county that you're comfortable with that. And I think that's a good solution at this point.
Another pertinent question.
You can ask your permanent question if you stand up and speak into.
Well, you know, one of the questions I had too was.
Oh, okay.
You know, after we go through all of this, what is the county's or SwiftMud's measure of success? Totally dry land, no water running off. Some of these homes in Country Way have their downspouts pointed to the back property, right? So does somebody say, hey, you did all this and it's still wet, you haven't done enough? I'm you know.
I wish I had an answer for you. When I said I played an engineer on TV, I really meant it. I don't have an answer.
What is a measure of?
What I can help with is directing the process and getting this process.
And that's why we're here.
Correct.
We want to direct that.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, the homeowner that's impacted, Ms. Cook, wants to have a resolution.
A dry
At the end of
lawn.
the day, you want to have a clear, defined way to make the improvements that you need to make and understand that when you're done with them, those are the improvements that you need to make. And going through the permitting process will make that work. So. Sir, what would you like your other permanent question?
Jim, related to the permit, I don't understand what permit is required. I think these issues can be done as a matter of maintenance under the SwiftMud permit. There's no modification to the, unless they put a swell in, there's no modification to it. So what permits does Hillsborough County need?
We wouldn't necessarily need an NRO permit, but we would need something to happen within a time frame. I put the permit because that's a thing that happens in a time frame to meet. Otherwise, within 60 days, you talk with TECO and figure out, because as the engineer said, I think he hit the nail on the head. There wasn't a definite swale created that said this is a drainage area, but I think the engineer just assumed with 50 feet and 10 feet of drop from the north to the south, the water's going to eventually go to the south and make it to where it needs to go. I think this is more with Tico driving through there with vehicles, and it's become a maintenance issue that's not been done. So it's more of a maintenance issue of restoring some type of berm or swale. And this answers the other question about when is it finished? If you create a bit of a berm on the west side of your Tico easement, and your water is maintained on one side and their water is maintained on the other side, well, then they're going to have to figure out how to control the water on their side of the berm. But as long as no water's coming from the east to the west into Miss Cook's property, if it's coming from the north, from the neighbor, we'll deal with that. That's a different issue. If it's coming from the east to the west to her, then it's not corrected.
Okay, we're good with that, and we'll keep you in the loop on it.
Okay, Ms. Brock, do you want to, Jim, do you want to modify your staff's recommendation? Because what I have in front of me is 60 days to submit a permit. If you're looking for 60 days to submit a permit, and you're going to handle it from a maintenance standpoint, then I think there needs to be a timeline for which they comply from a maintenance standpoint and have approval from the county. So how would you like me
That's
to
the
word
problem with not having the permit involved is what is the timeline go by? Because they're going to contact Tico. I talked to the contractor with Tico, and he said 50 feet is more than generous. He said they have a lot of easements that are smaller than that they deal with where they got to get trucks in. So he said there should be no problem creating a swale in there. So they have to get a hold of Tico, have them agree, because Tico's got to be able to use it, that what they do isn't going to impact them. So how do we create a timeline to where they keep things moving? Do we just say within 60 days, begin work to create the swale or create correction? And then within 90 days after that, be completed with the work?
So Jim, you're saying you're saying start the corrective actions within 60 days and have them completed within 90?
We could even change that. We could even have it, start within 90 days and have them completed 60 days after they start. Because I think once they start, the correction isn't going to take as long. I've got one, they just did 1,300 feet like this, and the company, it took them about 2 weeks at 1,300 feet of recreating a swale.
Okay, so how about we do this? Because we need to move on. We'll do within 60 days, submit a permit, and within 90 days from a permit, complete the drainage improvements, or within 90 days, complete, begin, within 90 days, begin maintenance improvements and complete within 60 days.
Yeah, but then you'll have to make the first part of the ordinance 90 also. Otherwise, they'd be in violation of the first part if they were going to the second part, the or.
Well, they have the option. They can
Okay,
submit for
all right,
permit,
I see what you're
or
saying,
they or they can do the work. I mean, that's
okay. That sounds good.
It also keeps the violator from going 60 days or starting the work and then all of a sudden deciding, well, they're not going to start in 90 days and try to go back and do the permit.
And this way, they don't need to turn things in and have them approved by the county. They just need to do maintenance work.
Right. So they would start the maintenance work within 90 days based on the recommendation of their contractor. It needs to be completed within 60 days, and then you'll review it and approve it for what's been done.
That sounds good.
Okay. Not sure I'll get that in one pass, but do you all have any questions, comments, concerns, ma'am? Ms. Cook?
I'm a little confused as to the 90 days, and there doesn't have to be follow-up by the county to make sure.
That's not what I said. So that's okay, no problem. It's not on the screen, so I'm on the fly. I'm making it up as I go.
I don't want it to get to hurricane season again and it happen another year.
So I'm gonna read the staff's recommendation as listed.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna say or. The or is that they have the ability within 90 days to begin the maintenance items that they believe that they can use corrective action on their own using maintenance to complete the issues within the easement.
I understand that, but. to
And
be
after, they
clear-
can start within 90, they have to start within 90 days. And then they have 60 days to complete it.
I
So
understand.
within 150 days,
Mm.
they're done, either with getting a permit and going through the process, obviously however long the permit takes, can definitely stretch that process out because then they'd have 90 days to complete it. Or if they choose not to go the route of a permit, then they have to complete all the work in 150 days.
To be clear, though, in that 150 days, their maintenance includes me putting swales in and doing things on my side of the yard, and that's not fair.
No, that
Property
does not
owner
have,
and
that has nothing to
I
do with
need
your
to
side of the
make sure
yard.
that they're clear that their maintenance has nothing to
Okay,
do with.
Ms. Cook, you're not a violator in this case.
I understand, I just.
They are the violator in this. I'm trying to be as clear as I possibly can.
Thank you. I'm just-
They are the violator in this case. So I can't force them to do anything in regards to your yard or not your yard. And I can't tell you at this case hearing that you need to do things to your yard. They are the violator. They're the ones I'm dealing with on this particular issue.
And so we
So-
get to 150 days and their maintenance isn't.
No, ma'am.
Acceptable?
150 days.
Right.
And their maintenance, all that has to be approved by the county. Jim is going to go out there, he's going to look at it. If it's still, water is still showing up on your property, then it wasn't done complete. And they're going to be in violation and they're going to be fined on a daily basis until they get to a point where Jim says, you guys are good. That's how this works.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm so
It's
overwhelmed.
fine. No,
It's been
it's
3
been 4
years.
years. I can see it.
Yeah.
It's right up here.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that you're very clear on how this works. I'm not trying to shortchange you.
I just don't want to get to.
This is the
150
longest
days.
particular one I've done in a very long time, but I want to make sure we get it right. Everybody else here in the audience is thrilled to hear this conversation. So I'm sure. So I just want to make sure that you're okay.
I just
Okay?
don't want to get to 150 days and it's nothing.
At 150 days, if they haven't begun, after 90 days, if they haven't begun, they'll be fined.
Because at 150 days, it's hurricane season.
Absolutely. At 90 days, if they haven't begun, they will receive, that's part of the order. They will start being fined. If they haven't completed the work within 60 days after that, they would be fined. Yep. And then just stay in contact. I know you've got Jim's information. You guys probably have shared Christmas recipes over the years. Just stay in touch with him throughout the process and he'll let you know how that's going on their end so that you can have peace of mind as it moves forward. I wish there was a quicker solution, but the good news is the homeowner association, I truly believe, has got the right intention at heart and they're going to find a way to get this done because it's definitely impacting people on down the line. And at the end of the day, it's their water. They've got to figure out a way. Okay? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, any questions or concerns with what we've just stated to this point? Okay for me to make a motion? All right. Thank you. I buried it amongst all the pictures here.
Why do we have to come so far? I mean, like.
You have to come up to the podium,
Just come to
sir.
the podium so I can hear you, sir.
I mean, nothing about this, but it took us over an hour to get here through traffic. I mean, we just barely made it at 1:30 and we left ourselves over an hour to get here.
I know. And you know what? For the last 3 years, I've had to go downtown and I live in Valrico. So for 3 years,
Well,
I've been doing that.
I mean, I've.
And now it only takes me 30 minutes to
I
move
know.
3 miles. So
Right.
I wish I had an answer for that.
No, I
Again,
mean,
not
we
not
held
my
other
committee.
hearings on other things. that
We
I-
have lots of great places to eat over here. There's lots of entertainment. At Top Golf, we'd be happy to have you. So
Okay. I'll
absolutely.
send you the
Yes,
bill.
bro.
No. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I rule in case L, I don't remember the case anymore. I rule in case L 227519, that based on the evidence presented, I find that the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes and ordinances listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the action taken by the violator and the violator's history, concur with staff's recommendations to require the violator within 60 days to submit a permit to correct the drainage of folio 004339-8694 Charleston Corners Property Owners Association Incorporated. Within 90 days after a county approval permit, complete the required drainage improvements. Or the violator has the option to complete the maintenance of the said easement without permit. Upon review of the county, they need to begin the work within 90 calendar days. Once the modifications have begun, they have 60 days to complete the work and have it approved by county staff. Failure to meet any of the deadlines, including the 90 days to begin work and the 60 days to complete work, results in a daily fine of $400 per calendar day. I can try
Sir?
to read that again, or I can.
Can you do that?
The L
Sure,
case
one more
is
time.
195661.
1956.
It's got.
You read the
My-
order right, you just read the wrong number to it.
I know that the case number shows on the screen. However, my paperwork says 227-519. Ms. Brock, which one would you like me to use?
Let's see which one we got here.
227-519?
I'm not, Jim's going to have to answer to that.
Here, hold on.
Sorry, Jim.
Yeah,
The case
Okay, we're
number
gonna have to
that,
start all over again.
Yeah, we're gonna have,
that case number.
okay,
was-
yeah, right. Okay, you're right.
just
It
before
is,
this
it
one.
is, it is 227-519.
It is 2.
It's wrong on the screen.
Okay, all right, excellent.
That PowerPoint
Okay.
guy.
Excellent. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate the time. Thank you again.
I have one more addendum I want to give her. It's a full Swift Mud report.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and one more thing for the file. Thank you. Next case, please.
Turn to page 15, number 32, case number L227555. The owner is Mario Sejas Crespo and Elizabeth Hernandez Gutierrez, 6813 North Coolidge Avenue. We have service, and we have some parties here. Good morning. Raise your right hand, please. It is afternoon. I keep saying morning. Raise your right hand if you're going to testify. Do swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And state your name and address, and please speak into the microphone.
My name is Elisa Hernandez Gutierrez. My property is 6813 North Coolidge Avenue, Tampa, 33614.
Thank you.
My name is Mario Crespo. My property is 6813 North Coolidge Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33614.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Lindsay Brock with Hillsborough County Development Services Natural Resources. This is case L227555. Owner violator Mario Sejas Crespo and Elizabeth Hernandez Gutierrez. Violation address 6813 North Coolidge Avenue, Tampa. Violation observed. This property is in violation for land alterations, concrete that altered the flow of stormwater and adversely affected their neighbor. Ordinance violated section 4.01. First inspection, July 20th, 2022. First notice, August 25th, 2022. Last inspection, January 10th, 2023. Inspections conducted 5. I'll now hand it over to the inspector, Wayne Doyen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Doyen.
Afternoon, sir. Wayne Doyen, Hillsborough County Natural Resources. We're going to go back to a previous case back in 2021. Prior case CE 217157 was complied on 11/1/2021. Stormwater agreed to this plan to install a curb to direct the water to the front of the house and not towards the neighbor. The neighbor contacted the inspector, myself, and stated that the curbing did not solve the problem and water would flow over the curb and through the front yard when it drained into the rocks. That's when I went back out, saw some photos. I reopened a new case. This is the 2 pictures on the right are the final inspection that's stormwater. He is now retired and myself were out there and he thought this would work. Unfortunately, November was the dry season, so we didn't know until the rainy season started back up. Next slide. These are photos by the complainant that they sent me. It does not have a timestamp and there is no metadata. But I have seen visually that it does flood into that area. Not sure all the water, but he did concrete his whole backyard, so he has caused the issue of stormwater. Next slide. January 10th, I did meet out there with Mr. Crespo. He did attempt in the last few months to build a little ditch to try to get the water to the front, which you'll see in a minute. But I did talk to him about the back corner, the picture on the left. It is lower there. It sinks down there. So There is a possibility that the water could go over that curbing into the backyard of the neighbor. We talked about some solutions on how to get this fixed moving forward. Picture on the right just shows the curbing as it is today. Next slide. So this is where I think one of the main issues is. This is the side of the house where the concrete ends, and you can see his little ditch that he's been trying to build. I did tell him this wasn't going to suffice, wasn't going to hold up over time. And that red circle, it indicates a spot where water makes entry to the neighbor's property between the fences. So we did discuss a solution on that also on that day. Next slide. And here's the ditch that he tried to make to try to help get the water flow to the street. It doesn't make it to the street, so that was something we talked about. And also no stabilization for the ditch. Next slide.
Case L227555, staff recommendation, submit and implement an approved corrective action plan to maintain stormwater on property with proper drainage flow to natural resources within 90 calendar days, or restore back to original state within 90 calendar days. The owner is responsible for resolving this matter with the county. Fines will be issued for failure to meet timeframes.
Okay, folks, what would you like to tell me? If it's nothing, that's fine. We can
Yeah,
we can
I
get
know,
right back on
I know,
schedule.
I know. Let me explain it to you because when I buy the property is old, you know, it's but 1970, something like that, you know. They got it cronky and the back and the front, or except what they got the tree. I call the tree, you know, because the tree is damaged my home, you know. And the cronky in the bar is real bad, you know. It's real bad. It's only, I make a shame, the cronky, you know. I put a new one, I take it out the old one and I put a new one, you know. The lady, I think a couple months ago, she said that, you know, the water coming to the home, you know. Mr. Wine, they go my home, you know, it's Mario, you need to fix it. I try fixing everything, you know what I'm saying? And right now, she say, and the phone, you know, the water coming, and you know, I explained wine. Right now, I try, you know, for do it, you know, open the 1 foot and a half, you know, and then put it rock, little rock, you know. This is the work I do right now. I want to do right now, you know. See, give me chance for that, you know. The other thing, you know, this is what happened.
Okay. Do you understand the staff's recommendations in regards to
Yes.
making the corrective actions and
Yes,
submitting the plan and all that kind of
yes, sir,
stuff?
I understand that.
Yeah, does that make sense? Is that something that you're okay with those timelines?
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem.
And it sounds like you've already talked to Wayne about
Yeah,
some of the
yeah.
things that need to be done. And we'll give those a try.
No
So
problem.
I appreciate you coming back and having another conversation about it. I know it's probably a little frustrating, but you know, the water is your responsibility. We got to try to figure out how to keep it from
Absolutely.
impacting the neighbors. Then they, you know, if
Okay.
you ever need sugar, you need to be able to go over there, right?
That's
So,
all right.
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like we have an understanding. I'll just go ahead and rule based on this recommendation. It'll give you 90 days to submit the plan, and then or you can, you know, put it back the way it was before.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Excellent. Thank you for coming down and
All right.
explaining
Thank
it
you
to
so
me.
much. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. I rule in case L227555, the base of the evidence presented, I find the property is in violation of Hillsborough County Codes of Ordinances listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I concur with staff's recommendations to require the violator to submit and implement an approved correction action plan to maintain stormwater on property with proper drainage flow to natural resources within 90 calendar days, or restore back to original state within 90 calendar days. Owner is responsible for resolving this matter with the county, and fines will be issued for failure to meet timeframes. And failure to meet any of the timelines listed above will result in a daily fine of $150 per day. As I was reading that, Ms. Brock, I noticed there isn't a timeline in which they have 90 days to submit the corrective action plan. They have 90 days to put it back to the original state, but we didn't give them a timeline in which to correct the action that's approved from the action plan. do we need to give a number of days?
I think 60 days would be appropriate.
Okay, so, all right, so I'll amend my motion to submit and implement approved correction plan to maintain stormwater on property with proper drainage flow to natural resources within 90 calendar days. And then to correct, and then as a separate item to, once that corrective action plan has been approved, they have 60 days to complete that work.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, or restore back to original state within 90 calendar days. Failure to meet any of those timelines listed above result in a daily fine of $150 per calendar day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next case, please.
Page 16, number 33, case number L227556. The owner is Yasvani Ruiz Capote, and the violator, EMK Brick Pavers LLC, 13729 Country Court Drive. We have service, and we have some people here.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Yasvani.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Does he plan to testify?
Yeah, he translates me.
Okay, all right.
No worries,
That's-
'cause you'll have to do it as well.
Just
Oh.
raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and if
My
you
name
would,
is Edson Martins. My company is EMK Brick Pavers LLC. Address is a 6505 Secrest Court, Tampa 33625.
okay.
Thank you.
And I don't know, did you give your whole name and address when you first walked up? Go ahead and do it.
My name is Yasvani Ruiz Capote, and my address is 13729 Country Court Drive,
Thank you.
Tampa.
Thank you.
6033. I'm gonna charge extra to be here.
Ms. Brock, go ahead.
Lindsay Brock, Hillsborough County Natural Resources. This is case L227556. Owner Yasvani Ruiz Capote, violator EMK Brick Pavers LLC, care of Edson Martins. Violation address 13729 Country Court Drive, Tampa. Violation observed unpermitted land alterations of concrete blocks, pavers, fence, and fill within the wetland setback. Ordinance violated section 4.01. First inspection July 27, 2022. First notice September 19, 2022. Last inspection November 28, 2022. Inspections conducted 4. I'll now hand it over to the inspector, Wayne Doyen.
Morning, Wayne Duran, Hillsborough County Natural Resources. This is the EPC wetland delineation that I received from Environmental Protection Commission. The yellow line is the 30-foot wetland setback line. The red line is the 6-foot PVC fence, and the blue line is the wetland line. Pretty much the whole side yard that he has where he's constructed the pavers, which we'll see in the next slide, is within the wetland setback. Next slide. All right, on July 27th, I responded out here for a complaint, and this was the beginning process of what they were building that day. Per Natural Resources, the concrete blocks that are there would be allowed, but everything else would need a variance to be on the property. Next slide. They have finished the fence also since then. And here on November 28th, the finished product. I've been in contact with the homeowners the whole time. They have already submitted for a variance. They already were supposed to have a hearing on December 19th, but it got rescheduled due to some paperwork issued. The variance hearing is on January 23rd, 2023. They've done everything they've had to do to get the variance. We were at the point where we had to push this along to the hearing to give some timelines. And we have it set up for the recommendations on the next page. And from what I understand, we are all in agreement with what it's going to be, and we'll see how the hearing goes.
Real quick, before I pass the baton back to Ms. Brock, did you say that all of the foundation work, the stone work, the concrete is allowed? And it's just everything?
Just the blocks would have been allowed to remain. The fill would have needed a variance, the fence needed a variance, pavers would need a variance. Yeah, it's a weird situation.
That's unusual. I haven't seen it that way before, so that's why I asked.
It's a weird situation, but as a whole, they're going for a variance. Not all of it could be approved. The pavers, the fill could be approved, but the fence might not be. Everything could be approved. So we're in a holding pattern until January 23rd.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
For case L227556, staff recommendation, Part 1, obtain a variance decision and address any items not approved within 60 calendar days. Variance approval for concrete, blocks, pavers, fence, and fill in the wetland setback would result in case compliance. Any item not approved in the variance will need to be removed from the wetland setback within 60 calendar days. Part 2, or if variance is not approved, remove all fill material and restore back to original grade within 60 calendar days. The owner and violator is responsible for resolving this matter with the county. Fines will be issued for failure to meet timeframes.
Okay, so you're asking for, your recommendation is to go ahead and rule on the case, and then whatever is approved by the variance as Part 1 will remain. Everything else has to be removed within 60 days. Or if nothing is approved, the whole thing needs to go back to original grade within 60 calendar days.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, got it. All right, gentlemen, what would you like to add?
Nothing.
And step up to the microphone for me so my folks downtown can hear me.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Can you step up to the microphone so the folks downtown can hear you?
Oh, yeah, no, I don't have nothing to say. I mean,
Okay.
I just want to ask, like, I saw that they put like a concrete blocks in there, but that is a paver block. I mean, that's a difference in there. But I think Wayne said that the wall should be good there. It's just, the pavers can be approved, only the fence. So, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know if do I have to be here or not, or I'm just confused.
That's a great question. It was one I was going to ask as well. Is there a reason why the owner is not the violator on this case?
Both of them, the owner and violator is responsible for this matter.
Okay. And just for my clarification, why is it not just the owner?
Because he's the company that actually did the work. It's only the retaining wall that's allowed within the setback. Everything else needs a variance to include pavers.
Okay. So if there is a violation in any of these parts of this recommendation, then the owner and violator are 50-50 in regards to?
I just put them both as responsible.
Yes.
To work out together.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you're a member of, you guys are in business together.
Business together.
You guys own the company.
No. I'm the owner of the company. He's the homeowner. Yeah. So, I mean, on my side, I did not do the fence and.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that we're talking about the right people and the right violation.
Oh, I got you.
No worries. Okay. So, gentlemen, it sounds like you guys have had a conversation with Wayne already. You understand the recommendation in regards to what they're asking for. So you're in the variance process right now.
Yes.
Whatever's approved is approved. Whatever isn't, obviously has to be removed within 60 days.
Okay, so.
Make sense?
All right, yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
So they're gonna have the variance on 23rd, and then was the next step is gonna be like a letter saying is approval or is not approval, or, yeah.
Correct. Yep. And then
All right.
based on that letter, whatever period of time that takes, and then the things that are still outstanding that would need to be removed.
Okay.
Yep, that are not approved.
All right. Yeah, I think that's, well, I do have a last question. So they put the fence under my violation as well? Like, I'm the EMK is responsible for all the violation, like wall pavers and fence, everything?
Anything in the setback is what the violation is.
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
correct. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
No, le pregunté que cuál la violación que expusieron en mí, dijeron que todo que
Ms. Brock, the only concern I have with the reading of this recommendation is if the violator goes through the variance process and for whatever reason, I mean, we're basing it on obtaining a variance decision. If it takes longer than 60 days for whatever reason, and it's only partially approved, does that mean that they would incur fines on the items that were not approved?
Yes.
Okay. That does not seem fair to me. So how can we adjust it so that
So for this recommendation, the variance will come back they have the hearing on the 23rd. It'll take usually a month at most. Okay, hold on. I'm getting new direction. We're going to change. We're going to change the
technology.
Third bullet point. It's going to say the owner is responsible for resolving this matter with the county. It will be on the homeowner to proceed with anything else after that civilly.
Okay. I mean, the homeowner is the one that's submitting for the variance.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the owner is responsible. Okay. Did you understand my concern in regards to if a partial violation or a partial approval is received, I don't think fines should run on the portions that are not approved. And I understand the timeline, but I mean, this variance hearing already got kicked 30 days, hasn't even happened yet. So just by some stretch of the imagination, it gets stretched another 30 days. The decision is not even going to be made in time for 60 days. So,
all right.
Are you okay with changing the calendar days?
Why don't we go ahead and switch all the 60s to 90 calendar days?
I'm much more comfortable with that. Ms.
Okay.
Brock, are you okay
Yep,
with that?
that sounds good.
Okay. Gentlemen, does that make sense? I just want to make sure that the variance process completes before you have to make a decision on what you need to do or not do. I didn't want any fines to start running while you're waiting for your variance, because the county can all of a sudden decide that they don't want to hear your variance next month.
Okay.
So I'm just,
Well, I have to translate that too.
right, so we're going to give you, so basically we're just giving you an extra 30 days. Originally, this says 60 and I'm going to rule for 90. So it gives you more time to get the variance process complete.
Okay, dijo que adicionó un poco más de tiempo para tener el variance ese aprobado. Entonces él va a adicionar un poco más de tiempo para que le dé tiempo a ver qué van a hacer. O sea, si van a aprobar eso o no van, que hay que sacar, si hay que removerlo todo y eso. Si tú estás bien con eso.
¿Qué fue lo que dijo con con los pavers ahorita cuando dijeron?
No, que el paver no está aprobado. O sea, el muro está aprobado, el fence y el paver no están aprobados. Entonces, el variance que tú metió fue para los pavers y la fence. Entonces, ellos van a discutir y decidir si eso se queda o eso se va. Entonces, que él adiciona un poco más de tiempo y a ver si tú estás de acuerdo con eso.
Pero el muro y la cerca sí está...
No, el muro nada más. Paver y cerca no, por ahora. Eso van a discutir con ellos. So, ¿tú estás bien con los 90 días?
Ya llevamos 90 días esperando. Tendríamos que esperar 90 días más.
So he said he ready wait 90 days, so he had to wait another 90 days to complete the variance.
No, so it's just for the variance process. So he's submitted for variance. They say they're going to meet it next month, but just in case they don't, I'm giving more time for that process to complete before he has to either do something or not do something.
Okay. Dijo él que va a adicionar nada más un poco más de tiempo para ver si tú vas a hacer algo o no vas a hacer algo. Entonces, pero él dijo que el variante tiene como 30 días nomás, que lo remarcaron de nuevo antes y le dieron 30 días más.
Dile que está bien, pero que yo creo que la ingeniera ya terminó eso. Se dice ingeniera, ¿no?
Sin que tú tienes 90 días, se no aprueban para sacar todo de ahí.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah, we.
We understand?
Yes.
Okay. I appreciate your translation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No.
Okay. All right. So I will go ahead and make that ruling, and then I will be removing EMK brick pavers as the violator. So it'll just be the homeowner that's responsible for this
Okay.
moving forward because
All
he's
right,
doing the
so-
variance.
All right, so.
So you
I'm
won't
gonna
be involved anymore.
Out.
Correct. I'm sorry about that.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, okay.
Excellent.
All right,
Any
so
questions?
I'm gonna ask this question for him. Like, when say the walk is approval, so like the other case scenario, let's say the pavers and the fence is not allowed to be there, so he have to remove just the fence and the pavers or the whole thing?
We're gonna have to
Nope,
wait
that
for
is-
the variance.
Yeah, we gotta wait for the variance hearing to make its decision. Once they make the decision, contact me. I will meet with him and his sister so we can go over the variance decision and we'll come up with what needs to be done at that point.
All right, sounds great.
Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, excellent.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
No
again
problem.
your
Thank you.
translation. Thank you.
All right.
I rule in case L 227556 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the action taken by the violator, and the violator's history, concur with staff's recommendations, and require the homeowner to, part one, obtain a variance decision and address any items not approved within 90 calendar days. Variance approval for concrete blocks, pavers, fence, and the fill in the wetland setback would result in case compliance. Any item not approved in the variance will need to be removed from the wetland setback within 60 calendar days. From the variance, correct. And part two, or if the variance is not approved, remove all fill material and restore back to the original grade within 60 calendar days. The owner is responsible for resolving this matter with the county. The violator is being removed from this matter with the county. And failure to meet any of the timelines listed above results in a fine of $175 per calendar day. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Next case, please.
Okay, turn to page 18, under contest, number 35, case number L217206. The owner is Cypress Industries LLC, 16113 Hutchison Road. And this is a contest of the county's finding of noncompliance. Good morning, sir. State your name and address, please.
My name's Ron Noble, 401 East Cape.
Is your microphone, or can you tip that up for me? That'd be great.
My
Thank you.
best. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name's Ron Noble, the attorney for Cypress Industries. My address is 401 East Jackson Street, Suite 2400 in Tampa.
All right, Lindsay
Thank you,
Brock
Counselor.
with Hillsborough County Natural Resources, case L217206. Owner violator, Cypress Industries LLC, violation address 16113 Hutchinson Road, Tampa, violation observed, unpermitted fence within wetland setback area. I'll now hand it over to the inspector, Wayne Doyen.
Wayne Doyen, Hillsborough County Natural Resources. This first slide is going to be a natural resources timeline of everything that happened. On 11/9/2021, the complaint was received. 11/12/2021, first inspection by Tony Hood. 11/15/2021, first inspection by myself, Wayne Doyen. Issued stop work order and posted on the fence. 12/13/2021, first notice of violation. January 10, 2022, discovered ownership change for the property. January 14th, 2022, notice of violation posted on the property for new ownership. January 20th, 2022, met on site with Bill NGPC and John Bailey, environmental consultant hired to represent owner to review property. Determination at that point was all trees were within the wetland area that were removed. Natural Resources only had fence in the wetland setback. January 20, 2022, resent notice of violation per certified mail, did not get good service. March 9, 2022, posted new notice of violation dated March 8, 2022 on property. May 18, 2022, posted notice of hearing at the property. email Mr. Noble a copy of the posting affidavit and notice of hearing. June 6, 2022, first scheduled hearing, response did not show. June 8th, 2022, magistrate signed hearing order giving property owner until 10/31/2022 to resolve the violation. And then on November 11th, 2022, Inspector Doran contacted DPC for update on the owner's wetland impact application, and to this date, no decisions were made. Inspection on the property was made and fence remained in wetland setback. Non-compliance affidavit sent to Citizen Board Support. Next slide. So this is the EPC Wetland Field Delineation Survey. This was provided by EPC. And since I do know Bob Owens from EPC is online and he has to leave at 4, I will let him speak to that. This was the approved wetland line per the homeowner and EPC.
Good afternoon, Bob.
Just to clarify this,
Sorry, 1 second.
just one moment, just to clarify, this is a contest of the inspector's finding of noncompliance on November 1st, 2022.
Yes.
Just that inspection, he's contesting that finding on that date. That's basically what a contest is.
Bob, did you do the inspection on that date?
No, I did the inspection.
Okay. All right. Well, unfortunately, that's the only issue that I can address is whether or not to approve or deny the contest based on whether that information was in the original order was complied with or not on that date. So can you tell me about your visit on 10/31?
It was on 11/1. I made my visit,
and
at that time, the fence was still remaining and it was in place. And it is in the wetland setback, so I did a non-compliance affidavit at that time.
Okay, and fines are still running on the case? Yes. Okay. And do we have a total fine to date? That's okay. While you're looking it up. Counselor, is there anything you'd like to add in regards to the contest?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Bob, stay on the line if you're still there, please. Yeah, this is really the same issue that we're rehearing from last year's proceedings. I've been in touch with Wayne on this. I provided this letter to him.
Okay, just for the record, the fine as of today's date is $21,900.
Thank you.
It's running at $300 per day as ordered.
Okay.
And I don't believe there should be any fines assessed. That may be a fine that is a fine that could be accruing in the event that we don't have this corrected. I want to make sure there's no fines issued on this matter.
That I can't help you with. After the case is closed, regardless of what happens with the contest, once you either are in compliance or you've removed it from the setback and the case has been settled at that point or closed at that point, then you have the ability to talk to the county about what fines are or are not still in play, or negotiate a settlement or any of those type of things.
My understanding is that we have now expired our initial extension period. The gist of that letter is that we are working with Hillsborough County EPC, and that's why I want Bob to give an update on that.
Well, unfortunately, he can't add any testimony to it.
That's
All
fine.
I can
I'll
do is
testify. I'll testify
or
to
approve
that.
or could deny the contest. In regards to the EPC application, Ms. Brock, if at a later date, whatever that date is, obviously there are fines running. If the EPC wetland impact application is approved at that point, then fines, this would be in compliance, and any outstanding fines would go away?
Correct. Can we go ahead and
That
go
was
back
my
to the
understanding.
presentation though, because we do have some photos and stuff like
Yeah.
that that we would like to.
Are they photos in regards to the date that he made the inspection of 11/1?
Believe so.
That's the only thing that I can
Okay.
rule on, is whether or not, as of the date the inspection was at the end of my 150 days, was it
Keep
compliant or
going.
was it not compliant?
There should be a slide in there, or at least there was initially, that keep going, Lindsay. It should be maybe one of the final slides.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we must have took that one out. I do have if we need it, I have a picture from November 1st showing the fence was still there.
Okay, well, your testimony was that it was not in compliance.
There's no contest that the fence is not there. The fence is certainly present.
Gotcha.
And that's what we're working with EPC with.
And
All right, so we
Just-
clarify
just
the issue with.
to
go ahead.
put on the record, the fines will not go away. When it's complied, the fines will stop running and there will be a total fine amount to deal with.
Okay, so
Just the way it works.
at the point at which the EPC issues or they remove the violation from the setback.
Now, I'm not saying the fines won't ever go away, but there's a process to deal with those
Understand.
fines
Yeah,
that you have to go through.
I've done that as well, but
All right.
I did not think those.
I just wanted to make sure it was clear.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Susan. As a result of our last proceeding, I was under the impression that the fines were not even accruing, that we had been granted time to work with EPC to get these permits in place.
You didn't receive the notice, the judgment, the order that I sent, that I signed. I heard the case in June, and it was 150 days, $300 per day, and then
Right.
you sent your contest letter on 11/11. So,
And that's to a new filing. So really nothing has changed. The only status quo that has changed during that 150-day period, we had several meetings with EPC. The property owner was originally planning to do a small-scale subdivision in there with several homes. We have since resolved with EPC that we're not going to do a subdivision. We're going to do one single-family home. Okay, and that wetland impact application is before EPC right now, and I'd like to enter that into the record as well.
okay. And while you're doing that, Wayne, can you or Ms. Brock, can you confirm that if they remove this fence from this location that's been highlighted in red, they are in compliance?
That is
Correct.
what we're asking for them to remove the fence, yes.
Okay.
This is the most expensive fence I've ever come across.
It's quite a fence, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the fence is part of the application for the encroachments and everything that will be improved by EPC. I'm not even sure that we agree that that is a correct wetland delineation line, although it is a current EPC delineation. But that's what that application will address. It will, if granted, authorize the encroachment of the wetlands, authorize that fence to remain in place while certain construction activities occur. But upon approval of the application, there'll be a time frame in there, I assume, for removal of the fence, construction of the improvements, and there will be restoration requirements for a portion of the wetlands, with the remaining filled area being permitted for construction of the single-family residential
Perfect sense.
structure. So I think what we're asking for is additional time to work with EPC to get this permit in place, and then we can get the fence removed.
Understand. And I just want to clarify the position from the county and what I am allowed and not allowed to do. So I've already ruled on this case. There's already been an order on this case. That order expired. The inspector went out and reviewed and realized that and confirmed that it's still in violation. And so the fine started. In regards to the contest, the only thing I can do is say, if there was some other issue or you thought you were in compliance on 1031 and you're like, oh, we did remove it or whatever it was, then that would be something I can address. You, by your own testimony, have already stated the fence still exists in the current location. Therefore, it's still in violation. So the fines are still running. So I'm going to have to deny the contest, and the fines will continue to run. You still have an option. You can wait until the EPC grants you that application, at which at that point the fines would stop running, or you can remove the fence and the fines would stop running. But I can't stop fines, remove fines, any of those type of things, because it's already been adjudicated. Make sense?
I understand your position. I think that is within your authority, and that's what we're asking for. Since we're cooperating with the county and we're trying to work with EPC, the ball's in EPC's court to process the permit. So
I understand.
I think you do have discretion there.
I appreciate your opinion on that, and you are a lawyer, so I totally understand that. But this is the direction I've been given to this point, and so I'm going to deny the contest. You have the ability to appeal my decision and go through the courts in that process as well. So for this point, I'm going to deny the contest on L217206. All right. Thank you, Counselor. Next case, please.
Next case is number 36 under staff reports, case number L216895. The owner is Todd J. Klaus and Christy Ann Otterbein, 12023 Cardinal Flower Drive. And I believe Mr. Klaus is online.
Yes, I am.
To join us. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
And state your name and address.
Todd Claus, 12023 Cardinal Flower Drive, Riverview, Florida, 33579.
Thank you.
It's Lindsay Brock with Hillsborough County Natural Resources. This is case L216895. Owner Todd J. Klaus and Christy Ann Otterbein. Violation address 12023 Cardinal Flower Drive, Riverview, Florida. Violation observed, unpermitted fill in front and side yard, left side of driveway. Ordinance violated section 4.01. First inspection, May 23rd, 2021. First notice, August 20th, 2021. Last inspection, November 30th, 2021. Inspections conducted 4. I'll now hand it over to Inspector John Beavers.
Good afternoon, John.
Beavers. Afternoon, sir. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you.
Violation, it's case L216895 on August 31st, 2021. Some original photographs from that I took showing the side yard and the fill. The complainant is to the left. Pictures are kind of self-explanatory. Next slide. Again, a lot of proceedings in the meantime, but this is a recent photo from January 10th showing that the work, the corrective measurements, corrective measures haven't taken place yet. The fill does still remain on the side yard. This is a copy of the order dated December 10th, 2021, showing part 1 and part 2. Given a certain amount of time for corrective actions, county review took place. After that, there was some delay on the HOA side, and so it resulted in quite a bit of time going by. Next slide. This is the copy of the letter from the HOA with the final approval from HOA for the work to be done, granting a certain amount of time for that work to be handled. The project within 90 days must be completed in 180 days after this approval letter. The next slide.
That's not correct, John. Can you read that again, please?
Mr. Klaus, I'll give you an opportunity to go through that once he's done. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I did see the letter, though.
recommendation.
Project must begin within 90 days and can be completed within 180 days.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is case L216895, staff report, staff recommendation. Complete all earthwork activities per approved natural resources NR permit number HCBLD 210027324 within 120 calendar days. Fines will be issued for failure to meet timeframes.
Okay, Mr. Klaus, what would you like to add?
What date does that come up to? Do you guys have that figured out?
120 calendar days is May 13th, 2023.
Okay. The 180 days that they listed here was June 14th. The county, Hillsborough County, took an extra month to do the approval. It went to December. It was supposed to be done sooner than before that. But the big thing that I'm asking for is that I need to make sure that I have another paycheck to make sure I can get this whole project finished. And that paycheck's coming on June 2nd. I would like till June 11th, Sunday, to finish work. And they can come inspect it on June 12th. I'll try to get it done way before that, but I've got a lot of things ahead of me.
The reason why we specifically put 120 days is we'd like to see it done before the rainy season.
What was the impact to the neighbors? Okay.
I can
All right.
appreciate that. We'll have the
Well, that's
wall in.
good.
I just want to make sure that we have time. I've been wanting to do this work for a couple of years now, so it's been a little tough process.
I understand. Okay. I'm tend to agree with staff's recommendation here on 120 days. I know that doesn't get you all the way to June, whatever you were looking for there, but Yeah, I think that is fair, gets it done in May. Obviously, it's going to get wet, and that's been impacting the neighbor for quite some time as well, so.
Can I have the exact
see
date, please?
That'll show up in the notice that you're receiving after I rule. As part of the adjudication, you'll receive a notice in the mail, and that'll be on there, so you'll
Okay,
know exactly what that is.
On May 19th, I have a paycheck too, so if it's possible, extend it a couple of days. Give me the end of that weekend to do it.
No, sir, because
I'm in a-
originally you told me your paycheck was June 11th, and now you have a paycheck in
No,
May. So
June, it's another month, sir. Right. There's a June paycheck. I get paid every month.
Okay, well, your testimony was you weren't getting a paycheck until a date in June, and once I said that wasn't achievable, then you had a paycheck in May. So in my opinion,
I'm
you
sorry,
have time
I
to get that done.
misunderstood. I'm sorry. Okay.
I understand, no problem. So May 13th, I don't know what the exact date is because it depends on when. It is May 13th? Okay, so based on my order today, the staff is telling me that it will be May 13th, 2023, and that information will show up in the adjudication and the letter that you receive in the mail. So you have until then to get that information, all that completed. And I know you want to get it done too. Obviously, it's been dragging on for a long time, so I appreciate your help with that as well. Any questions, sir?
No.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I rule in case L 216895 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property is in violation of Hillsborough County Codes of Ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the crime of the violation, the action taken by the violator, and the violator's history, I concur with staff's recommendations and require the violator to complete all earthwork activities per approved natural resources NRO permit number HCBLD 21002734 within 120 calendar days. Failure to meet any of the timelines listed above will result in a daily fine of $500 per calendar day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next case, please.
$500 a day. What happened to the $150?
Thank you, Mr. Claus. I've ruled on and we are complete. It's $500 per day for any day after May 13th, 2023. Have a great weekend. Next case, please.
Okay, back to page 12, number 27, case number L216819. This case complied December 30th, 2022. Page 13, number 28, L227385. This case was pulled per staff. Page 14, number 29, case number L227443. The owner is STND LLC. And the location is 2nd Avenue Northeast. I'm not sure if that's.
Narrows it right down.
And we have service and no one is present.
Excellent.
All right, this is Lindsay Brock with Hillsborough County Natural Resources. This is case L227443. Owner violators, SDND LLC, which changed ownership August 2022. Violation address, folio 013796-0000, 2nd Avenue Northeast, Lutz. Violation observed, unpermitted removal of an oak, camphor, pine, and maple trees, 8 in total, with an average DBH diameter breast height of 9 inches for a total of 72 inches. Ordinance violated section 4.01. First inspection, May 2nd, 2022. First notice, October 14th, 2022. Last inspection, December 29th, 2022. Inspections conducted 4. And now I'll hand it over to the inspector, Wayne Doyen.
Hello, Wayne Doyen, Hillsborough County Natural Resources. This is a photo of the property taken from property appraiser. Next photo. On my first visit, next slide, please. On my first visit, May 2nd, 2022, this is how the property looked. Tree survey was conducted on adjacent property after looking at aerials for similar sized canopies. Unpermitted removal of oak, camphor, pine, maple trees, 8 in total, with an average DBH diameter breast height of 9 inches for a total of 72 inches. Next slide. December 29, 2022, my recheck. No new additional plantings. The old ownership, when I started this case way back when, I did have some talks with, they said they were going to take care of it. Then I heard nothing from them. Then when I went to submit it the first time for a hearing, I saw that they changed ownership. So we had to restart the whole process over. And that's where we are today. I've had no contact with the new owners. And that is it.
Okay.
Case L227443, staff recommendation, plant, donate 72 inches DBH of approved shade restoration trees or contribute 72 inches to the restoration fund or combination of plantings, donations, and contribution to the fund within 60 calendar days. Trees must be 1 inch DBH or larger, a minimum of 8 feet in height, Florida grade number 1, chosen from the Hillsborough County approved tree list as appropriate. Contribution to the fund equates to $65 per DBH inch. The owner will be responsible for this violation. Fines will be issued for failure to meet timeframes.
I rule in case L227443 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes and ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I concur with staff's recommendations and require the violator to plant or donate 72 inches of DBH of approved shade restoration trees or contribute 72 inches to the restoration fund or combination of plantings, donations, and contribution to the fund within 60 calendar days. Trees must be 1 inch DBH or larger, a minimum of 8 feet in height, Florida grade 1, chosen from the Hillsborough County approved tree list as appropriate. Contribution to the fund equates to $65 per DBH inch, and the owner will be responsible for this violation. Failure to meet any of the timelines listed above results in a daily fine of $400 per calendar day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Page 15, number 31, case number L227534. The owner is Lydia Rosario Gutierrez and Rosario de la Rosa de Matos. 14720 North Rome Avenue. We have service and no one is present.
Lindsay Brock with Hillsborough County Natural Resources. This is case L227534. Owner violators, Lydia Rosero Gutierrez and Matos Rosero de la Rosa. Violation address 14720 North Rome Avenue, Tampa. Violation observed, effective removal of a 40-inch laurel oak. Agreement was made for a monthly payment plan. One tree fund payment was made for $435 on September 1st, 2022, and no contact since. Violation remaining is for $2,165 to be paid to the restoration fund. Ordinance violated section 4.01, first inspection July 5th, 2022. First notice August 9th, 2022. Last inspection December 12th, 2022. Inspections conducted 3. Now I'll hand it over to the inspector, Wayne Doyen.
Wayne Doyen, Hillsborough County Natural Resources. On July 5th, 2022, I went out to this property. I did issue a tree removal permit for this property. This tree was not on the list. I got there at this point in the day, and this is how the tree looked, which was to the point of over pruned to be effective removal of this tree. Next slide. On my recheck, December 16, 2022, no new plantings. I did have a payment plan set up with this individual. He paid one payment, which was $435. And we sent him the next month's payment. 2 months later, there still was no more payments. So we referred it to the hearing. There was a little fuzzy math I want to put on the record. Since he did pay $435, when I divided that by $65 an inch, it came out to 6.69 inches. So on the hearing notice, I rounded that up to 7 inches. And instead of the $21.65 that was actually due, if you just minus the $435, I put on the hearing notice 33 inches, which would have been for $21.45. We're readjusting that today to the actual $21.65. And if he wants to replant, it would be 33 inches. I talked to Citizen Board Support. They said I just had to put that on the record, that the amount is $2165 due. Next slide.
Case L227534, staff recommendation, plant donate 33 inches DBH of approved shade restoration trees or contribute $2,165 to the restoration fund, or combination of plantings, donations, and contribution to the fund within 90 calendar days. Trees must be 1 inch DBH or larger, a minimum of 8 feet in height, Florida grade number 1, chosen from the Hillsborough County approved tree list as appropriate. Contribution to the fund equates to $65 per DBH inch. The owner will be responsible for this violation. Fines will be issued for failure to meet timeframes.
I rule in case L227534, the basic evidence presented, I find the property is in violation from Hillsborough County codes and ordinances listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I concur with staff's recommendations and require the violator to plant, donate 33 inches DBH of approved shade restoration trees, or contribute $2,165 to the restoration fund, or a combination of plantings, donations, and contribution to the fund within 90 calendar days. Trees must be 1 inch DBH or larger, a minimum of 8 feet in height, Florida grade 1, chosen from the Hillsborough County approved tree list as appropriate. Contribution to the fund equates to $65 per DBH inch, and the owner will be responsible for this violation. Failure to meet any of the timelines listed above result in a fine of $200 per calendar day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Page 17, number 34. Case number ROWV-22027. This case complied January 5th, 2023. And that concludes the agenda.
Excellent. Long afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen online and here, thank you for your time and service. Have a fantastic weekend. This meeting is adjourned.